most of the time when we feel pain, it's not too much to disturb us, so we ignore it. But the body keeps the score. You'll feel pain in your wrist. And you're like, oh, I feel a little bit of pain, but whatever, I'm just gonna keep on working through it. Well, then the body's gonna say, I recognize pain in that area. So then it's gonna try to protect it. So the muscles are gonna get hypertonic. That means that it's gonna start to contract to protect that area. That joint becomes irritated and loses the laxity in that area. So now the joint is irritated. Then after the joint gets irritated, the nerve gets irritated. All right, so I want to break down the inflammation pain. This is a cycle that the body goes through no matter what. You're not bigger than the program. It's going to happen to you too. The first thing that you're going to notice is that you're going to feel pain, right? And it can be a minor pain, whatever it may be. Most of the time when we feel pain, it's not too much to disturb us, so we ignore it. But the body keeps the score. It still has that pain sensors inside there. So what happens in this cycle is that the body will feel pain and then it will start to limit that joint. So that means that the muscles will start to guard that area. So let's say, for instance, you'll feel pain in your wrist. And you're like, oh, I feel a little bit of pain, but whatever, I'm just gonna keep on working through it. Well, then the body's gonna say, I recognize pain in that area. So then it's gonna try to protect it. So the muscles are gonna get hypertonic. That means that it's gonna start to contract to protect that area of pain, right? So if you're feeling it here, the muscles, the small muscles and tendons will start to contract and say, hey, we're guarding this so no more pain can come in. Follow me here. Then what happens is, because that muscle is always contracting and guarding that area, the joint itself, because of lack of motion, because when things are contracted, it's not moving. When it's relaxed, there's more motion there. But when you contract something, it's rock solid. So now that joint, from being contracted for so long and tight, those muscles are guarding, that joint becomes irritated and loses the laxity in that area. So now the joint is irritated. Then after the joint gets irritated, the nerve gets irritated, because this is Hibb's law. There's a joint, muscle, and nerve that is all accompanied in one area for whatever it may be. So that nerve will start to get irritated. For the instance here at the wrist will be the median nerve. It'll start to get irritated because of the lack of motion, the lack of reception, and all of the guarding in that area. The nerve is gonna be like, oh, I'm tired. And then what happens is inflammation comes in. So now the inflammation's pushing all this inflammatory fluids that don't really feel good in the time. And you already have pain. You already have the muscles contracted, and that joint is stiff. So those alone are gonna cause pain, discomfort. So now you just get an overdose of more pain in that area, right? So now that wrist is just really aching. And this is about the time that you start telling people, you tell your wife, hey, my wrist is just really bothering me. I mean, it happened 6 weeks ago, but it just isn't going away. Well, that is the inflammation cycle and how pain starts to store in that area. So then what happens next is that now that all of this is happening and then you have even more pain in this area, now it's getting inflamed and irritated. Now it's just starting to deteriorate and degenerate that area because there's no motion. And when you try to move it, there's pain. And so the key at this point is you need to start from the inside out on healing this issue. So what was the first thing that caused that pain? Maybe it was a certain movement that you did that caused inflammation and caused restriction. So now we have to move that joint and make sure that we put all of the joints that are restricted, add motion back into it. So if it's not moving, you put the motion back into that joint, allow it to freely move, because once you take the tension off of that joint by an adjustment, right? If you're talking about the wrist, you adjust the wrist, put the motion back in that joint. Now the muscle that's hypertonic is gonna say, hey, I don't have to guard anymore because I'm feeling motion in there. The fluid's moving, the lymphatic system's getting movement in there. So then now the wrist is gonna say, okay, I can stop guarding so much. Now, when it stops guarding, the inflammation starts to flow back through the lymphatic system, back up to the heart, the thoracic duct. And then now that starts to clear and process through the body. So now that the inflammation is down, the nerve doesn't feel as irritated, the joints gain the motion, it's not as restricted. And then you start to realize 2 or 3 weeks later, my wrist isn't hurting anymore. This is how the cycle works. And then this is how chiropractic can break this cycle, is that and this is just the wrist. It can happen in the ankle, but most people it's happening in the neck and the low back. So if you're having these chronic headaches, think about first that there was pain there. It got restricted. the nerve got irritated, and then pain just stayed and stayed and stayed. So then once you get that adjustment to clear that area, add motion into it, now you can break that cycle and finally be pain-free.